the wardens, dubbed the AmaPanyaza, that were installed in the province by Premier Panyaza Lesufi, were initially said to have powers to enforce the community safety laws. Let's get a clear understanding now of what the mandate of the prevention officers are and the difference between them and the JMPD and those running the Manje Namhlanje operation in the city. We're joined by the City of Joburg MMC for Public Safety, Dr. Mgcini Tshwaku. Thank you so much for making time for us, MMC. What does designating the crime prevention wardens as peace officers, as outlined in Section 334 of the Criminal Procedure Act, mean for these officers in practical terms? What new powers do they have?
Well, thank you very much. That's Clement, right? The peace officers, AmaPanyaza, were trained at the JMPD Academy just before I came in, when I was deployed in February. So a peace officer, what they can do is to arrest. They can effect an arrest, which is normal. You can do, it's like a citizen's arrest. You can do that, and using minimal force. So they can do patrol. They can patrol the areas and whatever communities, and then if there's a person of interest, or maybe when they were searching a person, they confiscate weapons, dangerous weapons, and all of that. Then they can take that person and arrest that person, take him to the police station to be processed and write a statement and all of that. And also they can be able to do search and seizure, but in the presence of police. They can't do it alone. Yeah, so they can do, let's say a traffic officer or a police officer stops a car. They can do a searching with the police, but they can't stop the cars and do the searches alone. They don't have that mandate. And also it's misleading that they can stop the car, they can be traffic officers, because they are not competent on what is called an NRTE. That is the Enforced National Road Trans, Act and all of that, because you need to go through that. So at the JMPD, for you to be able to qualify as a traffic warden, you must at least have a minimum of 3 months, of which in that 3 months you do a peace officer course so that you are able to arrest and all of that in the presence of police. And then the second month we teach you bylaw enforcement in that other month. And then the last month we teach you how to, to enforce traffic law. But they can't combat crime because they're not competent in terms of, they still have to go through lots of acts in terms of the criminal procedures and understand all those things. They need to be also trained in terms of holding weapons and also how to, how to arrest and all those things of investigations and all of that. So then if they were able to combat crime, there must be at least a minimum of 2 years, which is what a JMPD officer at the end is. So we have a traffic warden course, which is a 3 months course, a quick course, enforced bylaw, traffic management, and then you have a 7-day course, which is peace officer, of which that's what AmaPanyaza did. It's a 7-day course, just to have a highlight in terms of to arrest and all those things. So I've seen them. They've now approached us, Nicodemusly underground, to say, hey, we want to train for traffic law enforcement. I was made aware 2 weeks ago that they want to send them back again to the JMPD Academy to be trained now to be able to be traffic officers. But they can't combat crime like police and like the JMPD officer. Yeah.
The Justice Department said in their statement that for the wardens to exercise these peace officer powers, they must assume that legal status as Gauteng provincial traffic officers. So is your argument that they can't exercise those powers because they were not trained for that, but they can only do that in the presence of traffic officers as things stand, unless, as you say, they are sent back to get additional training?
Yes, sir, exactly that. What to do is that the guys, they mustn't be excited like molecules as if they did not know. The problem with the province is that they do things. You see, that's what I said, Clement. This was an election gimmick gone wrong. of course, the intention of the Premier was to fight crime. That's what he really wanted. I think, let me think like that. But also what he wanted to do it was that he wanted to really create job for the branch members, the ANC branch members of the ANC, because firstly, those people, the AmaPanyaza, they have never went into a proper HR process. Yeah, well, because there are so many people who have applied and who are competent and they've never went in. And I mean, you can just say, I've done that process myself within the JMPD. For 300 people, it took me 6 months to do an HR process. But with those people, it took very quickly. It was very quickly. It was very, 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 very short. 6,000 in a very short space of time. So someone needs to say, did they go into a normal, proper HR process? That's the shortlisting, interviewing, vetting, and then obviously they wanted them to go and combat crime, but they did not understand what you need to do. You see, for a peace officer, it says it in the Criminal Justice Act. You must go for that. You can go and train for 7 days. But for you to be able to exercise that, to be called at the end a peace officer, the Minister of Justice must appoint you. But they forgot that. They mustn't say that, oh, we welcome that the justice has given that. It's in the act. They forgot about it. But when you graduate, for example, I can say I can graduate right now and be given a paper and everything, but no, now I've got a degree. But the rector or someone else must sign and say, I approve this degree, but they forgot that. They were excited like molecules because they wanted to employ, AmaPanyaza is ANC members, by the way. That is undisputed. It was just, but these are the volunteers of the ANC who are going to work during election time. So they forgot these processes, but they need to do A, B, C, and D. They send them from pillar to post. So after the peace officer course, the Act says then before they can be called a peace officer, the Minister of Justice must sign. And it clearly stipulates there what a peace officer can do. It can effect an arrest with minimal force. Number 2, it can do search and seizure only in the presence of the police. But I can't be stopped by AmaPanyaza and then they ask me for a DSK license and the compliance. They don't have those powers. That's why they came to us again. They just paid us about 4 million, by the way. There's a 4 million paid by the province to the JMPD Academy to train them further to be traffic officers, obviously in the provincial space. Because in the, so they paid us about 4 million roughly. I think that's the figures I'm hearing. So the first cohort of 250, it looks as if that they are ready to come in and be trained now so that they are able to stop cars and do those things.
All right, Dr. Mgcini Tshwaku, thank you so much for making time for us.